Hi there, everyone. A good and a happy Tuesday to you. I'm King 5 Meteorologist Adam Claibon. Rain, well, that's going to be staying away for a little while. And some of the clearing that we saw today, well, more of that is on the way as we head on into the night. That will mean some chillier temperatures to start off into our Wednesday. We're going to talk about that and how some of these clear skies will also help to develop some fog as we head on into early tomorrow morning. So you'll have that to deal with, but a sunnier and also a quieter afternoon for Wednesday before we do start to see a bit more rain later into the week. But overall, the pattern not going to be all that wet. Here's the estimated rainfall here as we go throughout the next 7-day stretch. And typically when we've been showing you this here over the past couple of weeks, we've been showing a lot of spots here across the lowlands of western Washington, at least getting maybe a half an inch to an inch, maybe even an inch and a half. Well, that's not the case this time. Models have definitely backed off a little bit with some of the rain totals and maybe up to an inch in many spots near and south of Seattle, while areas farther to the north, typical rain shadowed spots between a tenth to a half an inch, while seeing some of the higher terrain picking up just a bit more there and especially out towards the north coast. So we do have some rain in the forecast, and we're going to show you how that all comes together here as we go later on into the week. But as we head on here into the next couple of days, more dry times than not, and most of the rain that we're going to see on Thursday will be more hit or miss in nature. We'll probably keep a lot of that out towards the coast as we head into the first half of the day on Thursday. Expect better chances around Friday evening and then on into more of the weekend as temperatures will climb a little bit and then start to back off a bit more as we head on into next work week. And you see highs starting to drop back into the 40s by next Tuesday. All right, here's a look at what's happening here into the evening. You can see some clearing skies already beginning to take shape. Temperatures sitting in more of those upper 40s and more of the calm winds too. Calm winds, clearer skies, and some of the damp moisture that we have in place, all going to be a recipe for that fog to develop here into the night. So here's a look at that. You can see the clear skies, they're going to be hanging with us and probably becoming a bit clearer here as we head on into the nighttime hours, and a lot of widespread 30s for those overnight lows as we start off tomorrow morning. Here's radar. You can see little in terms of precipitation showing up on the map for us, just a few areas kind of here and there. And as you go here closer to Snohomish County, where we did have a few of those light showers earlier today, well, that has now disappeared as well. All right, big picture. We have our system that's going to be moving on through, and we're going to keep things kind of quiet. Now, we do have a very, very small area that's going to be under a wind advisory heading into the day for tomorrow. We'll have a little more of that easterly wind, southeast winds really pick up as we head on into tomorrow morning and throughout the afternoon and into the first part of tomorrow night. And it's for this area right there, shaded in more the tan color, is where we have this wind advisory. This includes the central King County foothills and valleys, where we could see some of those gusts up to 45 miles per hour. I know, a really confined and specific area. Outside of there, kind of breezy from time to time, but definitely not expecting to see gusts as high as what we're going to notice right there in that specific spot. Speaking of winds, let's get into that. Here are your future wind gusts. You can see as we head on into the night, we'll keep those generally around 5 miles per hour. Again, more that recipe for developing fog, especially into the earlier part of your Wednesday. We'll continue on into it looks like more late Wednesday morning, and we start to see that area right there showing up just a bit brighter in terms of some of the wind, where you have a bit more of that coloration showing up. Now, it's right there where you have that easterly wind coming through the gap, and that is more so the gap of Snoqualmie Pass, which is going to help to accelerate that wind just a bit more. And when winds kind of get confined and kind of force through an area, they accelerate, just like you would typically see through city buildings. They kind of really rapidly go through those areas, and then once they get out of there, they are able to slow down. But there's an acceleration process that happens at that point. But since we are going to see more of that easterly wind start to really focus in on that area, that's where we expect to see some of the higher gusts as we head on into late tomorrow morning and into tomorrow afternoon. And that's where you have some of those deeper oranges and reds and even some purples beginning to pop up, where we could possibly see some of those gusts closer to 40 or 45 miles per hour. That hangs with us as we head on into the first part of tomorrow night. Elsewhere, maybe seeing gusts closer to 20, 25 miles per hour across some parts of the strait, so Camano and Whidbey Island. We can notice a little bit of that. But once we head on into tomorrow night, that should start to die off, and we'll head on into Thursday morning, 5 to 6 o'clock there. Less in terms of wind around, especially in that one specific spot across King County. And we'll have maybe a few showers out there towards the coast. And speaking of that, let's talk about the rainfall, what we're going to see here. Nothing tonight. Most of that is just going to be in the form of fog. That's late tonight, closer to midnight, and you can start to see That is beginning to pop up for areas here closer to the Kitsap Peninsula, Hood Canal, and for more areas of South Sound where you have that milky gray shading already beginning to pop up. Visibilities could get down to maybe a half a mile, maybe even less than that as we head on into tomorrow morning, and it does spread out just a bit more. So this is 6 to 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, and you're seeing a lot more of that beginning to cover more areas across Puget Sound, even getting up closer to North Sound there around Everett. North of there, not too much on the way for us, but where we are going to keep it just a bit longer, South Sound. Later on into the morning, you can see visibilities closer to around Thurston County, parts of Mason County, even parts of Pierce County too, still holding on below 5 miles, if not even closer to 0. So expect that to burn off slowly as we head on into the morning hours of Wednesday, while areas farther to the north should start to see more of that clearing and that fog lift just a bit earlier. Again, no rain at that point. We'll see things stay dry all the way through that point. And as we continue on into more of your afternoon hours of tomorrow, check this out, just a few clouds passing by. Now, this is going to be at about 10 to 11 o'clock tomorrow morning into early tomorrow afternoon, which now this is at about 1 to 2 o'clock. But once we head on into the evening, you start to see some of that rain popping up on Futurecast. Now, that's still off of the coast to start off tomorrow night. But late tomorrow night and into the start of Thursday, some of that will make its way closer to the region. And by 7 o'clock Thursday morning, well, a lot of that is dissipating. You keep the better chances out towards the coast, and then they really start to break down. So there's not going to be a lot of rain really connected with that particular disturbance in and of itself. Let me back that up for you again. It will be late tomorrow night into more of the earlier part of Thursday that we're going to have those better chances. We'll probably keep that more so out towards the coast and over the Olympic Peninsula for parts of Southwest Interior, as opposed to what we're going to see closer to the I-5 corridor, at least around Puget Sound. And when we're talking about rainfall totals with this, there's little on the way as far as what we're expecting rainfall-wise. Maybe up to a tenth, maybe a quarter of an inch with this here over the next 2 to 3 days. So we'll keep a lot of that out towards more of the coastal locations. And really nothing in terms of snowfall either. We're going to keep that to a very minimum, as well as just most of the moisture won't even make it all the way over towards the mountains. And even then, we're talking about high snow levels around possibly 5,000 to 5,500 feet, so above pass level. Now, once we head on into the weekend, here's this next system that's first going to be barreling down on parts of British Columbia. That will eventually start to head southward. And you can see that once we head on into Friday evening, that's 6 o'clock, we're beginning to see some of those showers popping up here closer to areas near and north of Portland, and then around areas here closer to the north coast. So that's heading towards us, and that will continue to work its way southward as we go throughout the night on Friday and into Saturday. Now, there will be a lot more of it staying farther to the north. So areas across the north coast, up near more of the Canadian border, that's where we're going to have the better chances of seeing some of the higher totals of rainfall with this as we head on into the weekend, and probably have the higher chances too. While areas farther to the south, we'll see some periods of rain from time to time. Most of the time, though, probably calling for more dry times than not into the weekend. So I think a lot of us will take that. By Sunday night into Monday morning, this is 6 o'clock, you start to see that next batch of rain pushing on through, and that's when we probably will have our better chances there. Heading on into that time, we'll keep an eye out for maybe a few light showers lingering into the very first part of your day on Tuesday. Now, this is going to come along with a cooler air mass. We expect highs over the next few days to be more so in the low 50s, not too far off of that average high of 52 degrees. But once we head on into the latter half of the weekend and into next work week, check out what happens with our high temperatures. They start to fall down into the 40s, so we'll be cooler than normal. And 11/27, that is Thanksgiving Day. A high of 46 degrees right now, looking to be a chilly Thanksgiving Day for your forecast there. Overall, though, nothing too major as far as any systems heading our way, though, at that point. Here we go, heading on into the night. We'll see a lot of lows dropping down into the 30s, even a few spots near freezing. Bellingham, 33, 32 in Puyallup, down to 35 in Shelton. And then highs tomorrow making their way up into the low 50s in Blaine. We'll top off at 52 in Mount Vernon, Orcas Island, up to 50 degrees, Anacortes up to that same mark. We'll see highs around the upper 40s and low 50s across Camano and Whidbey Island, around 52 in Everett. We'll top off in the mid-50s around Monroe, also up to 53 degrees. Mid-50s around Issaquah. Remember, there around Snoqualmie, Maple Valley, maybe even Renton too, could notice some stronger wind gusts around those locations, while areas here closer to Puget Sound will keep winds breezy at times, but generally on the lower end. Highs in the low 50s there. Same for us in Tacoma and in Puyallup, topping off at 50 degrees in Olympia. Farther south in Castle Rock and Longview, low to mid-50s with highs in the low 50s around Ocean Park. 48 in Neah Bay, 45 in Lake Crescent, Quilcene up to 53, and Port Angeles will top off at 47 degrees. Here's your 7-day forecast. We'll keep things relatively quiet here over the next 2 to 3 days. Only the very small chances heading on into the day on Thursday for rain, and then the better chances coming in as we head on into Friday night and into the days for Saturday and Sunday and Monday as that system starts to work its way on in and brings down those high temperatures. These more the 40s later on into next week, and we'll continue to keep an eye out and really hone in on the forecast as we get closer to Thanksgiving, because I know it's going to be a big travel time for not only just people heading out to different destinations, but maybe you have some family or friends coming in for that time too. We want to make sure that they are updated and you're updated too on what's ahead. All right, everyone, we'll have a terrific Tuesday night and a wonderful Wednesday. We'll talk to you soon.